Hey, it's Monday and I'm Midja. And this week I got to speak at the Planning Institute of Australia conference. And I talked about how to have difficult conversations with difficult people. And as a leader, you know what? You have to have these conversations and it can be tough. And you can feel anxious and nervous about having them. And sometimes, you know what? You might just avoid the conversation altogether. You're like, you know what? I'm not even going to talk about it. And you just use the fingers crossed strategy that the behavior changes or it goes away by itself. But you know, it rarely does. And so today I want to talk to you about my top 5 tips when you're having these difficult conversations. So tip number 1 is to be curious. So in leadership, it's important that we have this curiosity, that we're inquisitive. So let's say, for example, that a team member, Andrew, has been performing really well. So over a number of months, he's been a top performer. And then this month, the figures are right down. So you've got to think to yourself, okay, that's interesting. I wonder what's going on for Andrew. I wonder what this change means. So get curious. Tip number 2 is to check your biases and your assumptions. And we all have them, right? And a question I often ask myself is, in this situation, what do I know for sure? And when you ask yourself that, sometimes it's very little. It's like this sprinkling of facts that you have, and maybe you've been given a few different versions from different people, and everything else you've just added your own assumptions to, your own story. You've dragged your autobiography into this situation. You've got to be mindful of that. You've got to think about that and have an awareness around what do you know for sure and what have you just jumped to conclusions about. Okay, tip number 3 is to shut up and just listen. So listen with the intent to understand rather than listening with the intent to reply and to tell the other person exactly what you think and what they should do about it. And that can be tough, I know, but influencing people is about making them feel understood. And once someone feels understood, they open up to then hearing your point of view as well. And that's a wonderful example of habit 5 of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey. It's one of my favorite habits and one that I always try and keep front of mind. Okay, tip number 4 is to have a structure around the conversation. Now, for me, I use the GROW model for conversations, but there's a lot more models out there as well. But have a structure. Get some scaffolding up. Now is not the time to wing it and just see where the conversation ends up, because you could end up down a rabbit hole and then you don't know how to get out of it. Have some structure. And my final tip number 5, is to remember how to eat an elephant. And that is one bite at a time. Okay, so sometimes we want to deal with the entire issue. We just want to get everything out. And that can be dangerous. Sometimes it's a series of conversations we have to have. So just take it one bite at a time. And as a leader, if you can develop the skills of being able to tackle these tough conversations, you build trust, you build safety and connection with your people. And you become a leader that people want to follow. I'm Midja. Mwah. Bye guys.